how it works, like basically how it is different from the other caches already available, particularly in the database. And also we do have the third party which provides the through the cache mechanism. So we'd like to know how it is different from those caches, and then how can we configure the cache. Okay, and then we'll be talking about the application. Basically, when we talk about the database, there is a two kind of connectivity happens. One is that the SQL plus connectivity that will connect, and then we'll be connecting via the application. So when we talk about the application, like it will be making the connectivity via the drivers, like so ODBC driver, JDBC driver. So it will be making the connectivity via the drivers. So when we have the true cache in picture, how the database connectivity happens for the SQL plus, and as well as how it happens via the database services, I mean the application. And here we'll be also having going to have the demo as well, and we are going to see how true cache works. So we'll be having the SQL prompt, and I will show you like how the connectivity happens with the true cache. And then finally we'll have what are the considerations required when we configure the true cache in our environment, and we'll let's conclude the session with the summary, and then followed by the questionnaire session. Okay, so this is the plan for the current session, this session. Okay, let me get into the introduction part. Okay, so when we talk about that database, we have the traditional database. We do have the multiple caches there. So these are the caches we'll know about when we go with the architecture, like starting from the DB buffer cache, like which introduces the lower version database version. Then slowly in the higher database version, we got a lot of caches we have discussed, right? So I have highlighted few of the database caches which usually we very often we talk about these caches, right? So when we talk about these caches, basically this is part of the database. It means whatever the cache we are configuring it, all everything happens at the database level, right? So everything is configured at the database. So when we say database is located at the remote location, say for example database is located at the United States and I'm a APAC customer, so I'm trying to access the database. Okay, so whatever the cache I have configured everything at the US database center. So when I'm accessing that data, so though the cache helps to boost the performance at database level, still I have the problem with the connectivity. I mean the data has to travel from US to APAC, which may creates a delay. Okay, so because of this particular distance, so it creates in the delay. So do we have any other mechanism like to boost the performance? I mean, I want the kind of a consistent higher performance, though database located in the different location. So how can I achieve that? Okay, so that's where this TrueCast comes in. Okay, let's go with the like we'll start building the idea like generally this is the use case. Consider this a use case. I have the database in the US and I am the sitting at the APAC and I am connecting to the database. So how can I achieve the performance? Okay, the first thing is like what we can do is we can have a DB at the APAC level. It means like I can create a clone of the database at the APAC location, and then I can start synchronizing from the production database, which is located in the US region. Okay, consider like how we do for the materializer views or say normal views. Normal view won't store the data, so consider the materializer views, or we can consider the sharding mechanism. So basically, it distributes the data to the different location. So in that way, we can achieve the performance. We can get the data which is closer to our region, and we can get a better performance. Okay, this is what the general thought process comes in when we say like I need the data access in the faster manner. Okay, so when we have this one, we have certain problems to be addressed. For example, I need a storage at the APAC region level, and then I need a synchronization mechanism to pull the data from my production database to the database located in the APAC region. And then I need the read consistency. When I say read consistency, the data at any point of SCN should be similar to the production database. So these are the few challenges we have when we think about having a replication of your data from the production database to APAC location. Okay, I'm not covering the data guard. Data guard is also one of the option that I will discuss a little later. This is something like I'm talking about a small set of data I like to have from my production database to my like data location close to my location. Okay, so instead of the data, can I have the cache? Okay, so earlier, like we saw, we are going to have the part of the data closer to my region. now. So when I have this data, I need to talk about the storage. But if I say, can I have the cache? Okay. If I have the cache, yes, we can have the cache, the data from the production database close to our region. But still, we solve only one problem, which is storage. It means the cache doesn't have the data. So we solve the problem of storage. But still, the synchronization, read consistency is still the problem we still face when we have a portion of the data cached in our region. So this is the use case. These are the problems we face. Now we are going to solve the problem through the true cache. Okay. Before going to the true cache, let me get some of the third-party solutions that we generally use to solve the problem. I mean, before getting the true cache, before true cache was introduced, these are the third parties was helping us to solve this particular problem. Okay, so one of the third party is Redis cache. Definitely, many people would have been familiar with the Redis cache. So it has been widely used in the like e-commerce environment or wherever the business running globally, and we need the performance consistent across the globe. So we'll be depending on the Redis. Okay, so web application is fine, that can be managed in different manner, but here we are talking about the data. So this is how the Redis manages the data. So what happens is, suppose consider the database is in US, the left side, and the APAC customer is at the right side. There is accessing the data. The Redis, what it does is, when there is a application write request, it goes to the database. Okay, it writes. Okay, and then the data is getting, suppose the application is a read request, the data is getting converted, okay, through the open source called dbgm. Okay, and then it is going to be converted as a Redis format database, which is called enterprise. RDA is nothing but the Redis data integration. So this is how the data is getting converted from the source database to RDA database. It
अच्छा,
means, sorry, any,
ऑरेकल
okay,
का ऐसा प्रेजेंटेशन है। ऑरेकल का
sorry.
Carry on, Krishna.
Okay, fine. So this is how the Redis performs. So basically, it collects the database, okay, and then it performs the data conversion and stores it to its own format. Okay. So in this way, what happens is Redis is able to support all many kind of databases. It is able to support not only Oracle database, it can support many databases, and also the conversion. What it does is, it has around 8 format of data, like for example XML, JSON, Parquet. So like that, it has 8 data formats. So it converts the data into those formats. So from there, when our application requests, it passes the data to the application. So this is how the Redis mechanism works. Okay. Here there are few challenges when we talk about the Redis mechanism. The first one is, we need the data conversion. Okay, so through integration we need to the data conversion. The challenge is, suppose my data is not comfortable for the conversion, then I will not be able to convert and put it closer to the customer. Again, I need to get the data from the source database. So that's one of the challenge, and the application needs to be configured for the caching mechanism. It means, here basically the caching is done by the application. When the application connects the Redis the database, then only that data will be pulled from the source database. It means here the caching is managed by the application. Okay, and it won't be automatically fetched from the source database to Redis. It's based on the application request. It will be done. Okay, and table joins. Suppose we perform a table joins. Okay, table joins means we'll be going to combine the 3 4 tables. Okay, so when we perform a select query using the table joins, okay, so it will be the Redis will be collecting the set of data from the source database to here. At the same time, it has to keep updating the data. Whatever the changes happens to the source database has to be updated in the cache data. And we have the multiple tables connected with the means the table joins. That's not getting happening in the Redis cache. Okay, so when we have the multiple tables combined in the select query, the update in the cache will not happen for the all set of tables. That will not happen in the Redis mechanism. And we know the columnar format is much required when we have the in-memory database, or we are going to boost the performance of the database. We need the columnar format, which is not supported in the Redis or the Memcache DB, whatever the third-party solution we have right now in the market. So these are the challenges we have when we talk about the accessing the data which is available in the remote location. Okay, let me give you a quick overview of what we have seen. So we have taken a use case of accessing the data which is happening remotely. So we are accessing the data which is happening in the remote region, say US region. I am the APAC customer, so I'm trying to access the data I feel there is a delay is that I'm not able to depend on the sharding or the materialized views to, because the storage has become a big concern. I'm not able to depend on the third party methodologies like Redis or memcached because of the challenges what I've listed here. So this is the use case, this is the problem. So now how we are going to solve it through the true cache. Okay. So what is a true cache? True cache is like you can little bit compare with the uh, standby database, the physical standby database you can but compare. But one thing is like here we are going to have the stateless. I mean like we are going to have the diskless the database. It means we are not going to have any data stored at the disk level in the true cache. It's a read-only cache. It's not the read write. We cannot perform any read write operation. We are going can perform only the read-only operation on the cache. It's an in-memory cache. It will be lying in the memory. There is no disk. Okay, there is no functional or nothing happening at the disk level. Okay, and another beauty is it will automatically synchronize the data. It means whatever the data is stored in the true cache, it automatically get updated with whatever changes happens in the source database. Okay, for example, I have taken a table which is stored in the true cache. Something happens, changes happening in the table, which will be automatically pulled to the true cache. How it happens? That happens on the redo mechanism. Okay, you know how the standby works, right? The active data guard will be pulling the redo and will be updating the standby database. The same mechanism happens here. It is going to pull the redo from the source database and it will be updating its own buffer. So that's the true cache. And another bit is it will be reporting only to the committed transactions. Okay, so whatever the data stored in the buffer and whenever the committed transaction happen in the source, that will be updated in the true cache and it will be shown here. Okay, and here another beauty is we can have multi true caches can be configured. Okay, it means for example my database in the US, I have customers across different regions. Okay, APAC region or Saudi Arabia region or Europe region. So those database, the customer require only their own data. So what I can do is I can configure true caches the different location. I can have true caches of means like the particular region data can be stored. And there's a particular set of data, a portion of data specific to the region can be stored in the true cache. Okay, we'll be discussing the multi true cache in the subsequent slides. So this is something, this slide is showing something like what is the properties of the true cache. So for the better understanding, we can understand which is similar to the physical standby concept, but only thing is it is a diskless. We don't have the database and we are storing only subsequent portion of the data in the true cache. Okay, so how it is happening? So the same thing, the APAC customer, we are going to create a true cache in the APAC region. It is going to pull the database located in the US region. Okay, it has the read consistency. Here we don't have storage, so storage the problem is gone, and it performs automatically synchronization. It's not something the application has to access the data and then it synchronizes. No, it automatically performs automatically at any point of time at any SCN. If you compare the data in the true cache and as well as the source database, it will be same. Okay. Okay. Now I will show you how the flow happens. Okay. Consider I'm going to perform a write request and a read request. Write request I am showing as a white say a circle, and read request I'm showing as a red circle. Okay. Say I have a database considered in the US region, and I have true cache for the APAC customer. I have created a true cache at the APAC region. Okay. Now I'm starting the true cache. When I'm starting the true cache, it will collect the whatever the buffer content in the database will be collected here. Okay, so everything collected, and then our true cache is up to date with the database, source database. Okay, now the application comes in. Okay, now the application wants to read some content. Okay, what it will do is first it will go to the, I have configured like in such a way that it will go to the true cache. Okay, it is a read request. It goes to the true cache. True cache, if the data is already available, true cache will pass the data to the application, or what it will is it will send the request to the database, the source database, and from there it will collect the data and it will be storing at the true cache. Okay, and then it will be sending the data back to the application. Okay, so here we can see here I'm just collecting the data and sending back to the application. There is no data conversion is happening here. Okay, it is as usual, whatever the raw data I'm getting it here from the database, I'm passing directly to the application. Okay, now along with that, I also transfer that source database also transfer the redo to the true cache. So whatever the data has been cached in the true cache will get updated by the redo from the source database. So this is how the mechanism happens. So here the application gets the data which is always it's a up to date data it will be getting from the source database. Okay. So hopefully like this diagram will be showing like how true cache works. Okay. Then
Here it is read only, or the application is performing read only operation or write also.
here it will be performing the read only also. Okay, if you are performing the write operation, we have the adg redirect your this right sorry redirect dml, the parameter what we use in the 19c I believe I think soluble the 12c. So it you can redirect the true cache. If I get the right request, it can redirect that request to the database.
Means true cache we can use for read and write both.
Yes.
Does
Okay.
it require any prerequisite, like the first time the database has to be, the source data has to be copied to the true
No,
cache?
no. We are not copying the day, like means like we are not having any disk. It is just a cache, right?
Mm.
Okay. So there is no copy mechanism or nothing to be done manually here. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So just I list out the differences, the common differences between the active data guard and true cache. So active data has the physical data file and also it copies the means like it maintains the full database. So block by block, the data will be same between the primary and standby database. True cache is a diskless. It will be having only the a set of portion of data which is required for the application. Okay, and it automatically synchronizes like through by receiving the redo it automatically synchronization and it performs and it is up to date with the source database. And failover switchover, it's possible only the active data guard here. It's not a disaster recovery solution, basically it's just a caching solution. And in the standby, normal standby, the standby can be the multi-node rack. Okay, but in true cache it will be always a single node, but to the source database could be rack or non-rack, but the true cache will be a single node. Okay, and the cascaded standby is possible. I mean, the standby can receive the redo from the another standby, but in true cache, it will receive the data only from the primary database, the source database. Okay, and as usual, like the standby will show full setup database will be having the full data files, everything will be having. True cache will be having only the cache data.
Krishna,
Okay.
Krishna,
Yes.
in your
Yes,
previous
please.
screen, basically, it's a single instance cache database means if I have four node rack, it will run in
Yeah.
only one node.
No, the true cache itself is a completely different instance, different server actually. Basically, the true cache won't be configured the same server. It will be configured the different server. Okay.
Okay.
So
And
you have source database with the four node rack, but I will be configuring the different server which is closer to the application. Okay.
okay,
It's a single, just install the database server and then I will configure the true cache.
it's kind of forcing something like okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So now the next slide Arun going to
Hello.
cover. He will be talking
Hello.
about how to. Yes, please.
Yeah, hi dear. For the
Yes,
single
please.
instance also we need to configure the same in application side or only for the rack only?
This is basically for the performance, the database performance. So store database could be a rack or could be a single instance. I'm going to configure true cache closer to the application. That's it. Whatever wherever the application
No.
sits.
Yeah, I agreed with you. As of now, I
Okay.
seeing it from the starting, which I listened.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioning that the true cache we can configure in the database level. It is like a parameter. It is like in memory, like a concept, as you mentioned in starting. As
Okay.
of now, you are mentioning that it need to be the configure in the different server, which is near to the
Yeah.
application.
Yes, correct.
Can you can you please tell some more on this one?
Okay. I'll do one thing. Like next, we are going to talk about how we are going to configure. That will give get overview of how it happens in the background. Okay. So after that, in still it's not very clear. Definitely, I will explain you. And also, I'm going to show you a demo also. I think that also gives bit clarity about how it works. Will that be fine?
One more question.
Yeah.
As you said that it is only for the committed transactions,
Yes. Correct.
and, but as it is working based on the redo, so
Yes.
redo consists both committed and uncommitted.
True. True. True.
So it will segregate the committed
Yes. Yes.
transaction and
Yes. It does.
then.
Yes, it does. It does. It updates only the committed transaction. Only it takes care.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just pass on this the next slides to Arun. Okay, so he'll be covering up how to configure this True Cache through DBC as well as manual, and then followed by demo. We'll cover that. Yeah, Arun, please, you can have that. Arun, Arun, we are not able to hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, it's better now. Yeah, please.
All right. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm on mute. So yeah, good morning, everybody. This is Arun Samyan. Happy to be here and partnering with Krishna to talk about Oracle Database 23 AI True Cache. So since now that we have seen the True Cache, how it operates, how it works, and everything, what we will cover in this subsequent slides here are basically how do we configure True Cache, right? So like we have seen earlier, let's say imagine you have a database that is sitting in the US East region, right? And that is where you would basically run the DBCA to configure the database on there. And what we will do here is, in order to establish the connectivity with the True Cache database that we are going to create, which is closer to the APAC region in here, what we are going to do is we are going to generate a blob. Again, when we call it a blob, it is not a blob data type. It is basically a blob which contains both the Oracle password file and also the wallet file, which is required to establish connectivity between the True Cache node that we are going to set up and the database in here to be able to pull all of the redo data that is required and all of the data that is required from the primary database, which is the US East. Okay. So what we are doing here is if a customer within the APAC region is wanting to access this data frequently and it needs to be used for more analytical or reporting type of purposes. What we are doing here is we are creating a True Cache node. This is what the node that Krishna was referring to earlier, wherein we are creating another node closer to the APAC region. Okay? And once that is done, the True Cache would actually connect to the primary database. And how does it connect? Right, whatever the blob that we are going to in here that we have created, which has the Oracle password file and the wallet file, is we are going to SCP over to the True Cache node, and as part of the DBCA configure True Cache command, we are going to
Arun,
SCP that file over there.
Arun, the participants
Yes.
comment your voice is too low. Maybe can I change without mic?
Okay. Okay. Give me 1 second. How about now? Any better?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. Thank you. So once we run the DBCA create True Cache command, as part of the DBCA True Cache command, we will also refer the blob as well, right? That's how the connectivity is established between the True Cache node and also the primary database and here using that blob. So if at all we have to configure the True Cache manually, what we basically do is we basically configure a different node which is closer to the application, right? Wherein so it will be able to frequently access the data for analytical and reporting purposes. We will install the Oracle Database 23AA software on that TrueCache node and copy the password file and the wallet file from the primary database to the TrueCache node. And whenever the DBCA runs over there, an init parameter file for the TrueCache instance is also created, and which will have all the TrueCache related parameters required for the TrueCache to be run. And in addition, we will also configure the tnsnames.aura and the listener.aura files between the primary database and also the TrueCache instance to be able to establish that connectivity. And once the TrueCache is basically started up, it is started up in the dormant state, and we execute the create TrueCache command to be able to create a TrueCache in the node closer to the application. Okay, and what this create TrueCache command really does, right? So what happens in the background is it basically creates a control file for the TrueCache instance and creates a standby reader logs based on the standby reader log the destination that we are going to mention. And it connects to the primary instance and captures all of the buffer content that is out there in the primary database and pulls all of that data in here. Because since we spoke about subset of data or the most frequently accessed data to be able to put in the TrueCache for better, faster performance, all of that data is going to be pulled in, right? And it also configures all of the data guard related parameters, and it starts the managed recovery apply with real-time apply, right? And whatever the TrueCache instance that we have, it is basically starts in a read-only mode. Okay. So just like we have seen in one of the earlier slides, on this slide, it's exactly a representation of the same slide. What we are going to see here is if there is a write request that is out there, you would see that being processed through a white dot, and if there is a read request, you would see it processing through a red dot in here. Okay, so imagine we have a database, right? And we have our TrueCache setup. So let's say whenever the TrueCache is started, what it would do is it will the database would dump all of the data that's out there in the buffer cache into the TrueCache instance, right? And imagine we have an application that is trying to connect, right? So there are these two JDBC configuration parameters that is used as part of the client configuration file or the data source configuration file. And these are the parameters that we'll have to basically enable. The first one is the oracle.jdbc use track TrueCache driver connection is equal to true. That's the parameter that we set in the data source configuration, right, to be able to state that this specific data source will need to use TrueCache connection, right? And in addition, what we do is as part of the session, we will also enable what we call as java.sql connection is read-only is equal to true. What this is telling the application to do is to be able to connect to the TrueCache instance and connect it as read-only, okay? And the JDBC application sends a read request to the TrueCache to be able to read all of the cached data, right? And for example, sometimes there could be times wherein the TrueCache might not have all of the data that you are trying to select. At that time, what will happen is the TrueCache connects to the source database and collects all of the data from required data from there for the application to be able to read, right? So it will basically perform a read request, and database will send all of the required data to the TrueCache instance, which is being read by the application in here. So from that point on, right, any redo that is out there on the primary database side since it works on that function of the redo, it would basically send all of this additional redo data onto the true cache, any other changes from that point on. For example, if you have a write request coming in from the application, what will happen as part of that is we will be unsetting this flag wherein we are saying instead of setting this to true, we'll set this to false as part of the configuration. And any write requests that are coming in basically sends all of those write requests to the primary database. Okay. And this is the other configuration or the concept that we spoke about, right? Wherein there is a feasibility for setting up the multiple caches for the application performance. So imagine we have our primary database sitting in the US region, and there are product teams or application teams sitting in the Saudi region and trying to access or get this data. What we can essentially do it for better performance or faster read performance and analytical performance, what we can do is we can actually set up two different true caches as well, right? So whenever the connections are coming in from each one of these different users, right? So because we have the true cache already set up in here, any data that is out there within the true cache, especially for the read request, given we have set the connection parameters or the over there, the data will be read from the cache accordingly from that point on. And let's say if at all the data does not exist in the true cache, again it will connect to the primary database and fetch whatever the data that is needed, improving the performance and everything. And how much amount of data to keep and the data, all of those, there are certain parameters you could basically configure, and you'll need to size the true cache to a certain extent wherein you'll be able to read and do all of that data. Okay, and these are the for the database services. Basically, these are required for the application JDBC connectivity. And the way we do it is we will basically use DBMS service, create service to create a service which are required for this, and we associate the primary database service with its true cache service. This is all the service configuration that is required, wherein we will be setting and using these specific set of commands to be able to set those services up, right? And once these services are, once the service is created and is associated with the primary database service, we start the database application service, right? Both at the primary side and also at the true cache side using the DBMS service start_service command. Okay. And for example, there is also the other concept of what we call as the partition configuration. Imagine we have our primary database still sitting in the US region, and there are different teams performing different functions. For example, India to be able to pull an app, let's refer to them as APAC region, right? And if they're trying to connect to the database and try and perform some read analytics from there, right? And if you want to separate the workload, there you can basically create multiple true caches, right? So one true cache purely for the APAC region users, and the other one, for example, there are users trying to connect from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, right? So we have the other true cache node configured for them, right? So all of the data that is needed for each one of these regions can be configured separately in separate true caches, which we refer to as partition configuration, right? And if you see in here, we have also configured two different services, one for the APAC region, and we are calling it as like APAC_TC, and for another service name called cas_tc, right? These are the two different services we enable basically on the or configure on the primary database side as well. And whenever a request that is coming in, the corresponding data is fetched based on the previous concepts that we have seen earlier. Okay, and here are some of the considerations that we look at when we are configuring the TrueCache. First of all, an OCI setup is required, and we need to configure a different node which is closer to the application, right? So, for example, if you're sitting in an APAC region, you configure a node which is closer to your region, and if you're in the Saudi Arabia region, you configure a different node for TrueCache within the application, right? So the whole point of setting these nodes is to be able to pull all of the data that is required for the application, faster reads, analytical performance, and everything. So it drastically improves the read performance of the application, and whatever the data that is out there available, it can be even used for the content delivery side of things, wherein you kind of keep content closer to the application as well, right? And there is a very small amount of storage that is required. Of course, we got to store some SP file, password files, and standby redo logs, right? So there is some minimal amount of storage that is required in there. And also we need to make sure we have configured enough memory to cache the required objects, for us to be able to read and keep as much data that we need for faster read performance, right? And the TrueCache, one of the other things that it can do is also the DML redirection, which is a very key feature for the TrueCache, right? And for example, one thing that it does is, TrueCache might not be the most current data that you're looking for, but one thing it makes sure is since it only takes in the completed transactions from the redo logs, right? It always makes sure it is read consistent at all times. So that's one important thing to note in here when you're trying to configure TrueCache for your application. And here is some links that you could use if at all you want to try it out by yourself. There is an Oracle Live Labs link which you could use, if you wanted to do some hands-on and understand this concept a little bit more. So having said that, now Krishna will walk us through a demo wherein he will walk us through all of these steps that are in here, and also show us how TrueCache really works in action. Over to you, Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Arun. Yeah. So, so along with that, this live lab, another specialty is like live lab. Through live lab, you can try the applications what we are discussing, right? Database services. So the live labs gives a set of data, and live labs creates the setup, the environment in the OCI, the tenancy. So it has the Terraform scripts and it deploys the environment, and so we can have the SQL plus as well as the database services interface to check this TrueCache mechanism. Okay, fine. Now I'm going to get in the demo side. So before that, do you have any questions to discuss here, or we'll go to the demo? Okay.
In the last slides of Arun, he was showing us that for write there, it is using another channel. It is not going through the TrueCache for writing.
Yes. Yeah, true. This one, right? So writing, the reason for having a separate channel is because we can write it in the TrueCache as well, but again it has to go to the database and then it will come to the TrueCache. So basically it would take some time when we go to the bulk transaction. So in those cases, the DDBC application by default, this function is having the value as false. So whenever we want to do this select query in our program, that time we can set this parameter so that it will go to the TrueCache. Otherwise we can leave it as a default value which will go to the primary database.
Yeah. Or else it will be a double trip to get the right into.
Yes. Yeah, true. Okay.
So in that case, it is useful for warehousing purpose, you can say.
Yes, of course. Wherever the select operation is going to perform, that definitely this will be very much useful.
Practically, is there any obvious performance impact we can see here with the true cache?
Performance impact means definitely the improvement only we can see.
Yes, improvement, yes.
Definitely. Say there are many environments which is depend on the Redis or Memcache DB, the third-party solutions, which can be replaced by the true cache. So
Krishna,
basically, we are not. Yeah, please. Yes, Basa.
how about the memory configuration?
Memory configuration, it's based on our configuration, like how much is GR, how much PG, how much whatever we want to configure, that can be done. It is something similar to our physical standby, right? How we configure the physical standby memory, the same kind of
Similar,
configuration we can follow here.
similar like source database, you mean to
Yes,
say?
yes, yes, yes. And also it is going to perform the least used, like whatever the least used, it will be replaced by the frequently used. It means like the buffer is full, I need the data, then the least used content will be replaced.
And also, it has to be on the same OS as of.
Not required. Because it's going to be a read only, right? So we are going to apply the redo. So I haven't tested that, but logically it need not to be the same, right? It's going to apply only the redo.
Yeah, it's just a connection, right? From Linux to Windows,
Yes,
whatever. Yeah.
yes. And see, whatever we are doing, like the operation, everything happens at the source database. For example, like if we take this one, here we are shown that example of accessing from the different region and through the database services. These database services get created here. Okay, we will be creating the database services here. The starting of the services will be happen at the respective regions. Okay, so APAC and here. So this guy will be given the APAC as a listener. When the listener in connecting service, he will be given the APAC. So it goes to the listener. Listener identifies it has the registered the services started with the true cache. So it says like APAC TC is available here. So it will direct the connection here. Then it will connect to the customer. So this customer is obviously he will collect only the APAC data. So this true cache will be having mostly APAC related data will be having it. This true cache will be having the Saudi region related data. So like that, we can define multi-true caches, but the source database will be the same.
Since it is working on the redo concept, I believe it has to be on the same OS as
Yeah,
of.
I haven't tested it, but what you're saying is correct, but need to figure it out because logically,
With standby also, if we create on the.
yeah, standby it has to be the same OS. So it could be a different kind of version could be different, but the platform has to be same. That's because of the data files, I believe the data file, right? So for example, if you have different OS, what happens is it has to perform the Indian conversion a little too big. That conversion has to be done, so that is not possible in standby has to be block by block, it has to be same. But here we don't have the data file concept, we just to maintain the cache. So that's the reason we feel like different OSs might not be required, but it is a good use case. I will test and just definitely I'll post it in the forum.
Even in data card, it can be heterogeneous. Like I tested like primary Windows
Yes. Yeah.
standard
Few,
design.
few, few. Yeah. Few combination is supported.
Yeah. Definitely, it's a good use case to test. Yeah.
Yes. A good use case. Yeah.
Is this feature part of Enterprise Edition or would that require an
Yes.
additional license?
So right now I see this is available only in the this one cloud. So cloud I'm testing with the enterprise edition. It works. Okay.
But this, do we need to build separate standby server?
Uh, it's not a standby server, it's a true cache server. It has to be a separate server. Then only we could see the benefit, right? Because if it's a database server, already it has a cache and everything is already there. Okay, so that's the reason it's built for creating the different site.
Okay, so do I need to configure entire database like standby database, or
No,
just
it's not
only?
required. It's not
Uh-huh.
required. Okay, I will show you. I'm going to create on this one. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will show you. I'll show you. Okay. Okay. So consider this is the primary database. Okay. Here I have the source databases here. Okay. So I can see here that source database is the database role as the primary, It has the read write, and I have the physical data file as 4 data file I have. Okay. Now I need to create a true cache. Consider I am the different region. There I have created a server. Okay. Here I'm going to have the true cache. My application is closest to this region, so I'm creating a true cache at this region. What I have created is I got in server and I have installed 23A database software. I have installed. Now I need to create the true cache here. Okay, here I'm going to create manually. I'm not going to the DBCA. Since I'm going to create manually, so this is something like similar to data guard. What you will do is I will copy the get a init file. I'll get a password file. The password file is required, right? We need to have the same sys password and the credential, then only the redo can be applied. So I have the password file, I have the init file. So can have what is there in the init file, can have a look. Okay, so this is the most important parameter, true cache equal to true, that denotes this whatever we are going to start is a true cache instance. Okay, DB name will be the same as a primary and the unique name could be different. And I'm setting the minimal parameters, SGA, file server, file client. So minimal parameter I'm setting it here. I'm not specifying the local listener, remote listener. It is required when I go for the database services section. If I go, then type that this time these 2 parameters are required. I'm going to test only the SQL plus. So I'm committing these 2 parameters. So I'm just have specified minimal parameters. DB create file list because I'm going to have the redo log file. So I'm specifying the minimal parameters. So what I will do is I will start the first I will connect to the instance. SQL plus. Okay, sorry, it's already there. So I will abort this one. Okay. Let me connect again. Okay. Now you can say it's connected to instance. What I have to do is I have to start the database in the no mode state. Startup no mode p file equal to do I have the location? Okay, fine. There's a standard location I follow, so I'm copying from there. So this is our init parameter. So init. Okay, so you can see what I've done is I just started the instance in the no mode state. Okay, and then just execute the command create true cache. That's it. So I'm just putting the alert log here. So basically what it does is it creates the standby files. Okay, you can see the add standby log files, it creates it. And after that, it will collect the data, whatever the buffer is there, collect the data, and then it will start the database in the read-only mode.
সারাদিন করলাম কিছু না যে করে ইয়েতে সুতাতে টান লাগলো এই জন্য গফলে সালা জুতা পরতে হয় না
Okay, true cache has been started. Okay, let me go to the primary and I will show you what is the database role and then what is the open mode. So you can see here, read primary, read write. So you can see here, it's true cache, read only with apply. Okay, and also say count of star from $B data file to see the number of physical files, 11 files, 0 files. Okay, one more verification. It is a content database. So PDBs, you can see here, everything is seed is read only, and this one is read write. You can see here, it is read only. Okay, so I can understand like this is a true cache instance. Now what I will do is I'll add some data into the primary, the PDB database, and see whether it is getting replicated or not. Okay, so alter session set container equal to PDB1. So I already have the user called TC test. Okay. So what I will do is I will create a table, say employee. created a table. I insert data. Sorry. Different and I try to insert data. It's inserted. Okay. Let me go to this true cache. I'll go to the PDB. Okay. Now you'll see whether this table got replicated here or not. You can see the table is replicated. Let me select from the table. It's no rows because I haven't committed yet. Okay, let me commit. Okay. Let me start from this particular one. So I can see here one row is here. Now it's a one row here. So only the committed record will be transmitted from here to here. Okay. And there will be some kind of questions also will be there. For example, like if I flush the cache, what will happen at the primary? If primary flush happens, nothing will happen to the true cache. True cache will be having its own cache. It will be having it. Okay. And also Oracle has come up, see, now we can see it's getting replicated within fraction of seconds. It's getting replicated when we do the bulk transactions, when we do a lot of inserts, and there that could be a little delay the true cache because it has to get from the standby redo logs. In case we want to avoid that delay itself, then Oracle has given a procedure. We need to execute the procedure. It's not coming a part of the 23 the soft database. We can collect the procedure from Oracle support nodes and execute the procedure whenever required. It will sync from the cache from the primary to here, the source to here.
So Krishna, in this true cache, we also don't need the control file. We just need memory. That's
Control
all.
file, it will get automatically created.
Oh, okay. So if you start the moment, it will be create control
It
file.
will get automatically created. Yeah. Only thing is like you specify the parameter, control file parameter here. Okay. So in my case, I haven't specified the control file parameter, right? So what happens is when I shut down and start up, so it will not able to identify control file, it will throw error. Okay.
Maybe
So if you specify the, sorry.
can you maybe show parameter control? Maybe it will update. It will show
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So it will show now. Show
Okay.
now. Sorry. It will show now. The problem is it has taken it the default one. It generates, right? Again, it's a system generated file. So if you shut down and start up, again, it will be a problem. So what you'll do is you specify the control file parameter and specify the control file name. So when it starts up again, so that time it will you reuse it, or not startup when you recreate. Suppose I have created the true cache, right? I can shut down again, create again and again. As many times I want, I can do that. But every time I create, the control file will be keep changing because I haven't specified the parameter. If you specify the parameters, the same parameter will be the control file will be maintained.
But
Okay.
we will never make it mount. It will be in no mount only always.
No mount only. From the no mount, we have to execute the true cache.
Okay.
Create true cache will be executed from the no mount only.
It looks like the database design is completely changed. It looks like.
Yes, bit changed. Yeah.
You have started in no mount mode, but then you did
Yeah.
not open it in the read only, right?
No, I just started the database in the startup
No.
no mount, and after that I created true cache. That will start the database, it will do the mount, it will create the standby control file, it will mount, and as well as it will open the database in the read-only mode. Basically, the MRP is running in the background.
Can you see the status for database for cache, true cache now, what it is in the read?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, now I'm connected with the this one.
And also, if you can show the connection, how it is routing and what connection used from source to target, I mean, true cache, that helps actually, right?
One minute, back. So, true cache. Can you please come again, Bashavan?
Yeah, first of all, this media database is not accessible in no mount usually, but in true cache case, it is.
No, it is connected, right? It is started in the database in the read-only mode. So that's why it is able to sell.
Yeah.
give the output.
Yeah, how you are making the connection from true cache to source database and vice versa. So where is the
Okay.
connection?
Okay, that is the fault client, fault server we have maintained. You can see here, we have given the fault server and the fault client. So we have configured the TNS names.ora file.
Okay. So you can also configure a broker in this case.
Broker.
We have to see if this functionality is added in the broker.
Yeah. Need to see. We need to think in that perspective. Yeah, broker. Yeah. So here I have given the source and as well as the true cache TNS connection string I have given. And this is for the remote listener, which is not required, which is required only for these guys for the application connectivity. And if you see listener, the same like as we do for the standby, right? So I have created the static listener entry here because it's going to be no mode. No more mode. It has to connect to the source. So I have created the static listener entry here.
Got it. Yeah. So like in I'm just comparing data card actually.
Yes.
What we do in the forcing, basically we have primary and then forcing near
Yeah.
to the function, and
True,
then we
true.
stand by in a different location, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
it can send the data from the middle database like
True.
so
Yeah.
True can also send the redo to the other target.
No, it cannot. See, the forcing is a little different. Forcing is it's going to accept the redo. It will even you could do the RQ. So the reason is like it want to remove the delay of transmission replication to the different side. So it can do the RQ and then it can send you the data. But here it's not doing any RQ kind of stuff. It is just showing the cache. That's it. Okay. And forcing is it's a complete database. Here it is not like it's a portion of database what we look for. Okay. Basically here we need more memory, not the disk.
Okay.
Okay, even you can
Krishna,
have a
I think,
small. Yes.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. So what I was suggesting is, in the end, if you could go back to the slides and
Yes.
quickly show how it is configured and everything, right? So probably it will connect the dots for all of our users.
Okay, this one, right?
Right. And also what happens when we run the true cache command slide as well.
Yeah.
Basically, who will set this file client file server?
Who? Sorry.
Who will set the parameters like file server? Like
File client file.
Yeah.
It means if I am creating manually, I will be setting it.
Okay.
Okay. If you are going the DBCA, so DBCA we are running the this one, right? The configure database that it will be creating a blob. So using the blob, it will do that.
Okay.
So you can see here the DBCA command. So using that, so you're creating a true cache, right? Of that time, I will be giving the blob. Where is that blob? So
yeah, understand.
yeah. So using that, it will be able to collect the information from the false or a fault client. It will be do. It is something. Here it is. So it is something similar to what we do for the data guard. The same concept. Nothing much different here. Only thing is data guard will be having the data files. Here we don't have the data files. That is the main difference here.
So there is no failback. There is no standby mode. Anything.
Nothing. It is just a cache. That's it.
Yeah, and
This
even
is
if
mainly
it
for
goes
the
down, right?
select operation. Like it's not for the DR operation.
Okay.
Yeah, even if it goes down, right, the true cache will always reload with all of the data from the buffer cache from the primary database again. So, Krishna, if you could go to that slide wherein we have showed, what happens when true cache is started on one of the slides.
Yeah. This one, right? Or okay.
Slightly
Yeah.
up.
Up, right? Yeah.
Probably 14, yeah. The slide 11.
11. Okay.
Yeah, this one. So true cache, if let's say even if the true cache goes down, right, it can always as soon as the true cache comes back up, it would read all of that whatever data that is available or the data blocks that are available in the primary side, primary database to here.
One doubt.
And true cache
Yes.
can always be recreated.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Suppose I have one data warehouse query. Okay,
Okay.
it used one hour or 2 hours.
Okay.
Okay, so when you run that query, it's supposed to get into cache, and cache should be normal as a regular behavior of
Yeah.
query
True.
execution.
True.
We go for GMP and all, correct? So when
Yes.
you go true cache, again need to do same double work, right? Then where is you are looking for uh, performance good?
Okay. One thing is like suppose as you said, like data warehouse query. It's mainly like when we have the location, the remote location the database is located. Okay. If you're at the same location we're accessing, then it won't create a huge impact here. Okay. If you're looking for the remote location, then we can have the true cache which is closer to the location, and then the application, whatever that the diagram shows, right? You are going to execute the application, going to execute the data warehouse query. It will go to the true cache and it has to collect the data from the database. It is going to fetch it here. Okay. The another thing is it's in the OCI. So we have the proper network connectivity between the databases. I mean the between the regions, we have the proper network connectivity. The latency is very less. So the data copy of the data from the primary is going to be stored within few seconds. It's going to be come here, and from there the application going to get it very quickly. Okay. And also whatever the data is getting stored here, the redo is keep on getting applied, so we are going to get the latest data.
So you are saying this is for only region to region long distance, then
Yes,
only
if we have the long distance. So if you go for the Redis cache and memcache, that's mainly used for if you are having the like database or some other remote location you are accessing across the different regions.
No, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any queries? Any other query? Is there any queries in the chat window, right?
No.
Right.
No. So
The
maybe
application level, on the application level, how we will say that it should go only for reading purpose, it should go to true cache, and for write purpose, it should go to directly to the, how we can configure it on the application side?
Okay. We're talking about the SQL connectivity or about the JDBC connectivity?
The usual way which application connects is whether it's WebSphere or any other application through which it is connecting. So how it will be configured that it should go only for the read purpose to the true cache, but for write purpose it should go, it should use another channel. How it will be configured on the application level? Any common?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will take 2-3 scenarios here to explain this one. Okay. For example, like I have connected the application which is going via the normal SQL plus connectivity. Say TNS listener, it goes via that and gets connectivity. So this is mainly for the application which has a lot of select queries, read sensitive queries. That's where this true cache is used. So when it has a read sensitive queries or read sensitive application, mostly 70 to 80% it will be doing the read operations. Okay. The insert operations will be happening at once in a while, or it could be happening in bulk load, or it could be happen via the say SQL direct, like that it will happen quickly. The write insertion happens. So where the only the read operation going to be happen more. So that time this setup will be used. Okay, can be used. And here the application can directly always connect to the true cache only, because most of the time we're going to perform the read operation only. Suppose I'm going to write operation, no issues in the true cache. I can make the DML redirect. I can put the parameter so that the data will be used, will be directed to the source database, and it will be again returned to the true cache. Okay, but if you are going to write, mostly the application will not be writing it. We'll be doing the direct loading of data to the database directly. Those scenarios it will be very useful. Okay. And in case you are not going with the normal connection string, what we are talking about, we are going with the application, then you can go via this parameter, what we discussed here, right? Yeah, this parameter. So this parameter, you can define this JDBC parameter, you can define. So by default, it will be false. So it will go to here only. So whenever you need the data has to be go to the true cache, I'm going to perform only the read operation, then you can set this parameter so that it will directly go to only the true cache. Okay, so basically after the microservices happens, all the read or write operation, what application, it will be contained the different modules, right? So whatever modules I'm going to call for the select operations, before calling that module, I can specify this parameter and call the module.
Yeah,
That's my answer.
as per the screen here, if it is data is in cache, it's okay, but it's not. It has to again direct path, right? So
Yes.
here
If it
we
is
have-
not in the cache, it has to collect the data from the database. That will
so
be done by the true cache.
we have to, I mean, ensure if it is in the cache, then it will be easy for true cache learning, right?
We cannot always ensure, right? So
Yeah.
it's a normal database operation only. We cannot always ensure. What we can do is that the true cache will collect from the database. So right now it is in the OCI. So OCI has the, if you want, we can say anytime the latency between the regions. So that much latency we are going to have. Along with that, we have configured the ADG mechanism also is coming here. So we are going to have redo. From the redo directly data going to come. Means like before the data getting right to the this one data file, the data would have reached the standby or the true cache site.
So yeah, this cannot be flexible. I mean, this is not supported by rack, but we can have individual true cache instances, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
And another thing is like we can have multiple true caches, like so as we see here. So we can have multiple true caches. If you talk about the far sync and all, the concept is a bit different. You will be replicating the full set of data, but here true cache we are going to have only the portion of data which is required for that particular region. Consider like sharding, but sharding requires the data itself physically will be there. Here we are getting only the true cache data, buffer data.
Yeah, I think that's where the more questions I saw in this session.
Yes, yes. And also see another very interesting thing is Oracle has their own dedicated product management team for this one. Okay, basically the PM teams will be created for the teams like which has a high focus, which has a lot of research investment has been done. Though there we can see the product teams, right? So I could see a new team, product management team formed for this particular product. So I guess there will be a lot of improvisations, a lot of like enhancements, features will be available in near future.
Okay.
So it is good to invest our time in this true cache concept.
Yeah, I think yeah, we are almost 50 minutes past the
Yes, yes, Vasavi. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could see many people have stayed till the end. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Krishna. Thanks a lot
Thank you,
for
everyone.
Thank you.
informative session. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you.
Thank you, Basha bhai. Thanks.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Have a nice day.
Really good.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.